Hello, welcome back to Lace with Literature again.
Your new favorite bookish podcast. I'm Emma,
And I'm Lexi.
and we just saw you like a few minutes ago. But this is part 2 of episode 5. So
Yep, we took a
welcome.
little break, a little pee break. We had apples and caramel for a little snack. And we wrote down the rest of what we were going to talk about
Yeah.
in this part of the episode. So we're going to wrap up the book club talk by answering the questions that we got on our Instagram story, because I had made a little story saying ask us questions about our book club. So we're going to answer those.
Did answer a lot of them in the last episode. Just didn't say like, oh, this was a question. So we're kind of just going to go through the ones that we didn't answer, I think, from our Fat Yap Sesh last episode. So,
and then we'll do our January reading wrapped and our
TBR.
February TBR.
And we're going to announce what book we decided to read.
Oh yeah, that's also what we did on our little break.
So, if you missed the end of the last episode, we're going to start a fable book club. So,
Lace with Literature.
yes, and
I'm so excited.
So we're going to talk about the book we decided to read and tell you guys about it, and I'm excited. I think you guys are going to like it. Okay, so let's start. Do you want to like do that one or?
I think we did actually kind of answer this.
Yeah, this one says, what are the favorite books y'all have read? I feel like we've talked about it.
We did actually. I said that my favorite book club pick was the Mindfuck series.
Yeah, both of us, I think. was so good.
So that actually did get answered.
We talked about how we met. Okay, this one says, what if you all don't like the same types of books, and does that happen often? It does not happen often, I don't think. Like, I feel like for the most part when we started book club, everyone kind of knew like what we read and like the kind of books we read.
Yeah, because that was kind of like a prereq, if you will. Like, whenever I was asking like what types of books do you read, I was like, are you okay with smut, but also like, do you like fantasy and romance? Because that I knew that would probably be what we read.
We wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page.
Yeah.
But we did have a member that like felt like that we didn't read the same books that she liked. And then she ended up unfortunately leaving book club. But we're still friends with her and we love her. And there's no hard feelings there, but she just thought that we weren't reading the same kind of books she was reading. So
yeah, I think she felt a little bit excluded because she was like, man, they love these books and like I hate them.
Yeah, there was a lot of books I think that she rated lower than us, and then
like Powerless, she rated 1 star. We were all like,
she was
stars.
like 0. She was but I think that a big part of it was like maybe she knew we were reading books like that, but didn't know that was like pretty much all we were gonna read. Like,
yeah, it's just like different book taste,
yeah,
which is totally fine. Everyone has different book tastes, so for the most part we all read the same books and don't have any problem. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we kind of, that was kind of something that we discussed before we started book club, so that's how we avoided that. If anyone is thinking about starting a book club, definitely do some vetting.
Yeah, and also I feel like if we do end up choosing a book that somebody doesn't like you don't have to read the book to be in book club.
Yeah,
like I think we've mentioned this, that
you don't have to, and we don't always all read it
or finish it,
but
you still get together and just hang out. Yeah, it's not like a requirement, like you can't come to book club if you don't read our book. Like,
a lot of the time we start off book club like, who actually read the book,
literally.
And then we'll discuss it and hopefully not spoil too much for those that want to finish it. But I feel like a lot of the times people that like DNF like aren't planning on finishing, so
yeah,
I don't know. Okay, next question. This girl said, listen to you on Spotify and would love to hear more about you guys. I feel like we've been trying to slowly get into talking more about ourselves.
The past like 2 episodes we like started off just like talking about our lives.
Yeah, like a little update, and I think we're gonna continue that and talk more about our personal lives and stuff, I guess. Definitely a big thing we want to do. I don't know. I feel like we've been doing a better job of that, and there will be more of that. So if you guys are interested in our personal lives, we will talk more about it. I think I've been a little more open too on like even our Instagram. Like I was talking about my
test. Yeah, you were getting on there like video on stories.
I actually really missed like the pod. I was like, guys, I need to tell you about this. I was like, so I had talked about how my progression with Onyx Storm, which hold on. Okay, yeah, we already talked about the other question. So, yeah, my progression with Onyx Storm, I had just read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame in succession. So, while I'm not like disliking Onyx Storm, it was just like a lot for me. Like, I needed a break. Like, I usually take, like, I've been really into taking the breaks
take
in
breaks
the series.
in between series, always.
So, yeah, I just needed a little break. So I guess we're gonna, do you want to get into January or?
Oh, was that all the?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what was that other one?
We all like answered them.
We did, yeah, because this other one says, would you consider doing a monthly book for your podcast YouTube and then maybe discuss with us? So,
yeah, so where I was reading Onyx Storm, I kind of just needed a break. I think I got maybe halfway through, maybe like a little under halfway through, and I decided to pick up another book. So I actually didn't finish a lot of books this month because I've just been like trying to get through things, and then I obviously had my tests and I had to focus on those, so I had a good 2 weeks of like not even reading. So I did read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame.
So what were your ratings on those?
I read it for, oh my gosh, guys, I really messed up talking about this last pod about, I mean, yes, I do still feel like Fourth Wing was like a really easy read for me. Totally forgot about the Liam situation. And it's haunted me since I was editing the pod. I was like, oh my gosh, how did I miss that? Like, gosh, I actually don't want to spoil it, but the Liam situation.
Yeah, that breaks my heart.
So that was rough, for sure. That obviously made me very upset. So that was hard to get through. But then this is so funny. I was literally texting Lexi like the day Onyx Storm came out. And it was the day of my test. So, like, right after my test, I was like, oh, I get to get back to reading Iron Flame. And, like, I need to finish it so I can start Onyx Storm. And so excited. And I'm like, Lexi, I really don't understand everyone's beef with Iron Flame. Like, it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm, like, texting her. And, like, 10 minutes later, I was, like, right at the end of the book. Because I was like, Lexi, what do you mean? Like, you guys don't like Iron Flame. I get to the end. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I was like, what is happening? Appalled. I was like, I saw it coming, but at the same time I was like, I like no words. Like I don't even think I reviewed that book. You know, I've been getting into reviewing. Like I've been writing reviews. I don't even think I know I didn't review like Fourth Wing. I was like, I actually cannot mentally like think about this right now.
You know what's so interesting? Since Onyx Storm has been out and people have been finishing it and reviewing it, I have seen so many people say that looking back, they need to do a reread of Iron Flame because they don't actually think that it's as bad as they thought it was when they first read it. Like everyone's saying that they think they really harshly rated Iron Flame.
I don't think Iron Flame is awful, but then at the same time, I got to read like Onyx Storm. Like I wasn't left on that. Like that, it would make me mad if I was left on that for a full year. Yeah, but
hold on 1 second. I need to move this.
But I think it's the same thing with like any time like anything happens to a main character, they have plot protection. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. That's the other thing with Onyx Storm where I'm like, am I that concerned?
I think that Iron Flame had
I obviously haven't finished it, but
world building and like something
very,
that everyone
very expanded. Because, like, you're going just from Basgiath to, like, literally all of their lands and all of these different names and people, and it was a lot.
And something about Rebecca Yarros is that she is a planner, okay? She plants little Easter eggs and things that make no sense to you at the time. And then in the next book, you're like, oh, that's what she meant. So I think that now that a lot of things have come out in Onyx Storm from Iron Flame, people are like, wait, that book actually I think might have
made
been
more
better.
sense. And you can see everything like coming to fruition. Yeah.
And you'll understand that too when you finish Onyx Storm. The ending is like another WTF ending. Okay.
Gosh.
It's different. It's not the same type of ending as Iron Flame, but it's...
Gosh, she, like, the whole Venom thing just came out of nowhere. Like, that's what I was like. I was like, this is a lot. And, like, we're getting into apocalyptic type stuff. Like, I was like, gosh, like, wow. And I'm like, I'm still loving it. Like, I don't have any, like, beef with that. But, yeah, I just didn't expect it. So I can see where Iron Flame was a lot. And then I mean, even me, I just read Iron Flame and Fourth Wing just now, and then I get into Onyx Storm, and I'm like, this is a lot. Like the first, it's like drinking from a fire hose, which is a main reason why I just set it to the side.
That is such a great analogy. That's literally what I felt like. Like I couldn't even swallow all of the information being thrown at me. I was like, what is happening?
Well, at the same time, I'm studying for these big tests, and I'm like trying to memorize thousands of questions, and then I get like, I'm just reading and I was like, I need something that doesn't hurt my brain so much. Like I really did. So I actually picked up the Shatter Me series.
Wait, did you say your ratings for Fourth Wing and Iron Flame?
Oh, I don't think I did. Fourth Wing was 5 stars, obviously.
Period. Fourth Wing, whenever I read it I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I also rated it 5 stars.
Yeah, I loved Fourth Wing. It was amazing. But I don't think there was enough to it for me to be like, this is like a god tier book. I think I'm comfortable with 5 stars. I wouldn't say it was like a raving 6 stars. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just felt like, especially after like Akatar and other things, like I just felt like it wasn't enough for me. You know what I mean? Like it was still 5 stars and I still really enjoyed it. And I love the book, but it wasn't like mind blowing to me. You know what I mean? But I did love it and I really enjoyed it. It was a very fun read. Iron Flame I rated 3.5. I feel like I would even say 4. Maybe 3.5 was.
I always have to sit on my ratings a little bit because I feel like how I feel a week later is the true rating of the book, not what I feel immediately after.
Because obviously at the ending of that's gonna knock off a star. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh my gosh, like. But I also think the main reason it was lower is because I felt like a lot happened, but not a lot happened, and I felt like it kind of just went in a circle a little bit towards the end, and I was like, I don't know. I just felt like not enough happened, and it was world building, and it is like typical second book stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they got to set up for the third book, but so yeah, it wasn't like 5 stars for me, but it was good. So yeah, I did 3.5 for that. I started reading Shatter Me. This is funny. I was just telling Lexi this too. I actually started reading One Dark Window because I've been really interested in that, everything about it.
I love the magic system in that book. It's really cool.
One chapter in and I was like, this is like a lot of information and my brain was really hurting. So I was like,
yeah, you had an info heavy January.
Yeah.
You need like a light, easy read.
So I was like, and it's funny because I started Shatter Me and it is like, there's a lot that you don't know when you're reading it. But it's been really easy to read and it's very like simple to me so far, but like there's a lot that you don't know, but it's not like crazy, like it's not hurting my brain. So I started reading Shatter Me and I'm loving it so far, like loving it. I told Lexi this too. The reason that we were talking about, a big reason we weren't interested in this book or the Binding 13, like those series, is because they're so young. But, you know...
you just reminded me. I looked into Binding 13. I was wrong.
Oh, they're not young?
They're in college.
Okay.
So they are all...
I will read it.
...of legal age. I was incorrect in saying that it was a high school romance. It's not. They're college students.
Well, the same premise, though. If I'm reading a book and they're describing the MMC and he's not, my dream man, I'm changing it. Like, it's...
Yeah, just picture him how you want.
I do. So I do the same thing with the ages. I mean, they probably only mention their ages like once or twice. And it really does bother me that she's 17 and he's 19. Like, I hate that.
Like, that's not a huge age gap. But when you're young like that...
17 and like this, I don't know, just reading smut of a teenager makes me sick.
Wait, so there's smut in Shatter?
Yes.
I thought it was YA. What?
I don't think it's like smut, but it's like, yeah. Yeah, she's been talking. It's not super, super spicy, but it's, yeah. She talks about how bad she wants to, everything. So, yeah, I definitely age them up in my head. They only mention their ages like once. And it's another reason why I'm not reading the audiobook, because the voice, like, why does the voice have to sound like a 2-year-old? Like,
she's 17.
She's like, oh my gosh. Like, I can't deal that. I can't listen to that. So Yeah, I'm reading Shatter Me. Um, and then obviously,
What is that?
so January I've obviously read Hexed, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame. Hexed was a 3-star for me. We've already talked about that. Okay, so my January wrapped Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, Hexed. I only read 3 books.
Okay.
I was a busy girl.
So for January, I read and
Just really
finished.
distracted. Like
I finished 5 books. My first one was Throne of Glass, and I really liked it. But honestly, I don't ever think about it. So when I first read it, I rated it 4.5 stars. But looking back, I think probably a 4-star. Like, definitely not 4.5. I'd say 4. It was really good. I liked it, but I don't really think about it. The second book I read was Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hilderbrand. This was such a random read.
Yeah, I need to hear you talk about this because I actually don't even think you mentioned it.
No, I never. This was not even on my radar to read. Basically, how did I get this book?
What did you rate it?
I was babysitting. Okay, I was babysitting. So, this particular family, I work at the same school as mom. So mom is the director at my school.
Oh.
And I have her kids in class. I was babysitting over Christmas break, and she was getting rid of some things and taking things to Goodwill, and the Hotel Nantucket was one of the books that she was getting rid of. And she was like, hey, actually, I think you might like this. And so she gave it to me. And her kiddos are incredible at independent play. And so sometimes when they're, doing their own thing and don't need me, I'm like, what do I do? So I picked up that book while I was babysitting, and it was actually so good. So it's like Ellen Hilderbrand writes Nantucket novels, so they all take place in Nantucket. Essentially it's about this haunted hotel, and it's just about a bunch of different characters. It's unlike any book I've ever read, actually. There's a couple different romance plot lines, the ghost story, but the main plot is with the hotel and the lady that's running it, because she's getting over a breakup, and now she's throwing all of her energy into this new project of being this hotel manager. And you get to know all the people that stay in the hotel. I don't know, it was a fun read. It was very much a mood read. She just threw it at me and was like, hey, I think you might like this. I picked it up and immediately loved it because it was just so different.
Yeah.
I don't normally read things like that. I ended up really liking it. I rated it, what did I rate it? Can you look on the notes? I think I rated it 4 stars.
Yes, 4 stars.
Okay, I rated it 4 stars, and it was just so funny because we were in the middle of our winter ice storm, and I was reading a Hotel Nantucket beach novel. I'm like, this is so random. But yeah, that was a really good and surprising read. It was not on my TBR, not on my radar, nothing. Ended up being really good. And then the third book I read was Mercy by Sarah Kate. We have talked about the Salacious Players Club series quite a bit on the pod. This was definitely my least favorite book in the series.
Yeah, I didn't like Mercy.
No, I didn't really like either of the characters, the tropes. It wasn't really my vibe. But once again, I ate it up. I love her writing.
We did talk about this on the last pod.
Yeah.
So I remember that was the book I stopped at.
Yeah. I think... See, and since reading this, I really haven't had a desire to finish the series, so I can really see why you stopped. But I am gonna finish it, I think, because I just
and we are
gonna
read Keep Me by Sarah Kate. We were discussing that.
Yeah. So I rated Mercy 3 stars. I finished it really quickly, just wasn't my favorite. And then I read Crown of Midnight, which is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. I rated this one 3.25 stars.
Very specific.
It is very specific. I love the half-star ratings on Fable.
Quarter-star ratings.
Yeah, I don't really know. I am not loving the Throne of Glass series like everyone else loves it. It's just, I don't know. If it takes 5 books to get into a series and for it to be good, then it's not a good series. I don't I'm sorry. If it takes hot take, if it takes several books in a series to get you into it to be good, to capture your attention, it's not good, okay? It's not good. Why are we hyping this up? Like, watch me, like, finish the
Watch
series.
me start reading it and be, like, in love.
Obsessed. Or, like, I'll get to the end because everyone says the last book is the best book. I'm sorry. You should not have to read 7 books to get to one good book, okay? Like, that's genuinely ridiculous. This book was a lot of world building, and I could tell as I was reading that they were just setting up for future books. So it was good, but kind of boring.
Typical book 2.
Yeah, except for ACOTAR, book 2, and ACOTAR is the best book in existence. So tell me why second books in series are usually not that good. I don't know. It was all right. 3.25. And then the star of my show this month was Onyx Storm. I literally finished this last night, so on January 31st. I was determined.
Okay, because I was like, did you actually finish?
Yes, I did. I finished it
last night.
Well, I finished it yesterday morning.
Was this why you were actually up late?
No. Well, because I finished it in the morning.
Okay.
I was listening to the remainder of the audiobook on my way to work, and then the ending was so confusing. Like, you need to finish the book so that we can discuss the ending.
Trying.
I was so confused at the ending that I was like, when I get home, I'm going to reread the last 3 chapters because I don't understand what just happened. So I did. When I got home from work, the first thing I did was sit on the couch and reread the last 3 chapters. I don't know. But it was incredible. I loved Onyx Storm, but I don't know if I have the 5-star feeling. Like, it's only the day after, and I feel like I'm leaning more towards the 5-star. But there were things about it, like the beginning of it,
right,
that made it not feel like a 5-star.
Hard to read, yeah.
Because, like you said, the beginning is just so, like, info dumpy and, like,
to
new
me,
characters.
Like, a 5-star, I really just need to enjoy it, like, all of it. Like,
I think that's the only reason I didn't rate it 5 stars was because of the beginning.
That's the only reason I feel like I rated Fourth Wing 5 stars, because I told you it wasn't, like, enough for me to be like a all-time favorite, but it was very fun to read. Like, I loved like reading it, the whole like experience, the vibe. That was 5 stars for me, but it wasn't 6 stars, you know? Like, it wasn't.
Can I just say, Xaden ate in this book. He ate. Every time that man opened his mouth, I was either kicking, screaming, giggling like a small child, or punching my steering wheel. Like, because I listened to the audiobook, that sounded really random. Punching my steering wheel.
I've gotten through a good bit of it so far.
Gosh, every time he speaks, I just have such a visceral reaction to that man. I'm like, oh, Xaden gets me down so bad. Oh, he was like the highlight of, well, there's so many highlights in the book. Riddick, I love him.
Riddick has grown a lot.
Favorite.
Have you looked at fan art of Riddick?
Yeah, and he's hot.
Yeah.
They're all hot. Why are all these men so attractive?
Rhiannon was not how I pictured her.
Really? I think.
Right? Like,
I pictured her that way, I think.
I didn't. And I also did not picture Mira the way I see Mira.
Oh, I don't actually. Hot take. I can't picture Mira. I don't know what she looks like. I have no thoughts on Mira. She's just kind of a character.
I didn't picture her like that.
I might need to look her up because I don't even know that I've seen it. But
I saw a picture of her, like, doing Violet's hair. I almost said Feyre. I saw a picture of Mira, like, doing her hair, her sister's hair, and it was a cute, like, fan art picture. I think it was Roki who did it.
I need to look that up.
But it was sweet, and it was like, oh, to be Mira's sister. It was cute though. But it's not how I pictured her.
Yeah, I think
definitely not how I pictured Riddick. Like, none of them.
Riddick low-key carried Onyx Storm. Is that another hot take? I don't know. I
need to look up pictures
loved
of
him.
Garrick and what's his face?
Bodhi.
Yeah, I don't know what they look like at all. I actually don't have pictures of them in my head. I picture them as like Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Dude, that's so good. That's so good. I love that. My favorite thing about Riddick is how goofy he is. He's so unserious, and like it'll be such
someone to like pick up for Liam.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't even know how to describe. Like, every time Riddick spoke, I was giggling. Like, he just is so unserious. Like, we're in like a life or death war moment, and he's like, like making some joke. And
it goes great with the dragon banter.
Oh, amazing. Like, him and his dragon have the best, the funniest
Wait,
banter.
we need a Riddick POV.
No,
That would be
literally,
good.
in my Fable review, I said, Rebecca Yaros, I am begging of you to give Riddick a book in this series. Give him a book. I need a whole book from his perspective and his banter and his goofiness. Like, that would be like a 10-star read for me. I love him. He takes the cake.
He doesn't even need a love interest. He's just
just him and his dragon.
I just want to hear him talk.
He doesn't even need a girl. Like, girl, imagine that girl be so lucky. I mean, obviously, I like Xaden more because we get a lot more of Xaden, but I think that Riddick has potential to be like an incredible male main character.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, so Xaden and Violet, they also ate in this book. The plot with them and their romance was very
I love how
different.
Strong Violet is getting like
Mm-hmm.
just even like mentally, like she's actually believing in herself.
Character growth and development from book 1 to now,
right?
Unreal. Yeah. Unreal.
I mean, the parapet book 1 to even just like book 2, her going through what I was talking about this is where I was at when I last did the pod, but her interrogation training, like how did she withstand that? Like I would have cried. Like she was so tough. These are the things I could never deal with.
Also, she's like really strong in her relationship in Onyx Storm because of the things that they're facing in this book, which obviously we can't mention because it's a spoiler.
Yeah.
But she just like stays strong enough for the both of them in Onyx Storm, which I think is so beautiful in a relationship.
Yeah. So yeah, very good. We should talk about our TBRs for February.
Yes. Oh wait, I did say I rated Onyx Storm 4.5, right? I think I'm gonna bump it up to 4.75 because it's almost a 5-star read. But yeah, so let's move on to our February TBR. What books we're wanting to read this month, because it is February 1st when we are filming.
Right. I don't have like a TBR. Like, I don't know. I don't plan out things as well as Lexi sometimes. Like,
I don't do monthly TBRs. I never do.
But
I am this month just for like, podcast purposes.
I just have like a plan that can change of like what I'm wanting to read. So right now my plan is, obviously I just started the Shatter Me series and I'm loving it. I think I'm going to finish book 1 of Shatter Me. I'm almost done with it. So I'll finish book 1, go back to Onyx Storm and finish that. Then I'm going to read the our book club book, which is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. And then I'm going to probably read another Shatter Me book. And depending on how long that takes me, then I'll read our Fable book and then finish the Shatter Me series. For now, I'm just going to finish the Shatter Me series. So I have like 2 books in between there besides Onyx Storm. So I'm not like trying to give myself too much because
yeah, I feel like I typically read 4 to 5 books a month, so I have 5 books on my February TBR. I feel like that's just my average, so it's a good number for me. But I don't typically make a monthly TBR just because I feel like it kind of puts a little bit of stress on reading for me. Like there's something I have to do each month.
That's how I felt with my reading goal last year. Like I have to read this.
I don't like feeling like that. I think it takes the fun out of reading. But I do know for a fact that I am going to read Book Lovers. I started it this morning, loving it. I already mentioned that in part 1. That's probably going to get read this weekend. Like, I want to go home and binge it. It's so good. So Book Lovers by Emily Henry will 100% be read this month for book club. And then book 2. What's the second book I'm reading this month? I'm already forgetting things. Okay, so the second book is actually a novella. So I honestly might read more than 5 books this month because I get through novellas really quickly, obviously, because they're short.
Yeah.
So I discovered...
I do have a few novellas I have on my shelf that I've been wanting to read. So if I do need a cleanser, I'll go to them because I've actually been wanting to read them. I just haven't had time.
Speaking of cleansers, I have like a what's the word I'm looking for? I have a rotation of books that I always do. That's not the word.
Do you feel like you have like a TBR and you have like a cleanser TBR? I feel like I do.
Kind of.
Like I kind of feel like I have these books that I'm like, I want to read, but don't have a specific time to read them. I don't feel like a strong urge to read them, but I feel like they'll be like good reads. So then like I'll have them in there.
I'm just going to call it a reading formula. I will read a romantasy, and then after I read a romantasy, I read a light, fluffy romance as a cleanser. And then after that, I feel like I'm done with the light and fluffy and I need something dark. So then I go to a dark romance and then I start the process all over again. Then I go back to a romantasy. Like that is my routine with reading.
Right.
Like you're going to notice that in every monthly wrap up that I just rotate genres like within romance, of course. So since I'm starting
I do that, but I go like a lot longer than just like one after
book.
the other. Yeah.
So Book Lovers is the cute rom-com. So the second
I have
one,
a lot of like, I've been feeling a big desire to start reading more like the rom-com books, like the Book Lovers, and then I told you I want to.
But I think you're gonna love
the
it.
Wedding People. Like I've been feeling like I want to go read some like lighter books. But yeah,
you just need them as palate cleansers.
Yeah.
Okay, so the novella is actually a dark romance novella by, I think you say her name, Aurelia, or it's Aurelia Knight, I think. I just discovered her recently in December, actually, because I read her Christmas novella called Sacked and Slayed.
She was showing me some covers of this book.
Dude, that novella unhinged, okay? It was dark. It was spicy. It was everything I didn't know I needed.
Lexi might convince me to read this novella with her. We were talking about that. But
she has this series called The Stolen Obsessions, which I do want to read the whole series this year. She just came out with the 4th and final book.
Are they all holiday? Like
no, the novellas are though. So there's 4 books in the series, and then she has 3 standalone novellas within the series. So I read the Christmas one, and then this Valentine's Day themed novella is called Knives and Kisses. So I'm definitely going to read this. I have a coworker that also reads the same types of books as me, and we both said we wanted to read this for Valentine's Day because she also read that Christmas novella. She's the one that recommended it to me, actually. So Knives and Kisses is going to be read. And then I put Air of Fire on my February TBR. So that's Throne of Glass, book 3. I started this in January, and I actually started Phantom by H.D. Carlton.
Oh, yeah.
And I DNF'd that. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go back to it, honestly. It was good, but, like, I don't know. Not good enough to keep me interested.
I feel like you'd have to be, like, really into the series.
Yeah. So I DNF'd Phantom.
I didn't read Where's Molly, and I loved the series, so.
And then I soft DNF'd Airfire. I started reading that in January and was like, I need a break from Throne of Glass. Mm-hmm. So I'm putting that on the TBR for February because I bought the audiobook already. And I want to read the whole series this year, so I'm sticking it on there. Hopefully I can get through it. Because everyone says that the beginning of Airfire is slow, but once it picks up, then you're like set for the series. To be determined. I will update you guys. Don't even worry. And then before we get to our first Fable book club pick for Lace with Literature, another book that I started in January and also put on my February TBR, which I have not talked to you about, and it's definitely not a genre that either of us read. It's actually a self-help book.
Oh, no. Did you see my DM to that some girl? You posted something about this book. And this is actually funny. This girl slid up and said, like, what is that book on Lace with Lit? And you didn't reply, but I opened it and I was like, well, she's not going to get the notification now. So I went on your Fable and I stalked you and I figured out what book it was. And I was like, hey, this is Emma. I was like, but I said, according to Fable, this is the book she's reading. I have to show that to you. Like, yeah,
I never saw that. Oh my gosh. I feel like
I actually meant to send it to you, but
you're always so quick to respond to DMs on Instagram and TikTok and stuff, and then I never see them because the notification's gone.
Sorry, girl.
I really need to get better about checking DMs in case.
Oh, it was the Littlest Charm Co. That girl. She said this.
Oh, okay. She slid up and said, "What book is this?" That's Lexi's book, and this is Emma. But according to Fable, it's Stress Resets by Jennifer L. Tates. So, backstory on this book. I never read self-help, okay? I don't know that I've ever read a self-help book. Mm-hmm. My boss, Missy listens to the podcast, so hey girl.
Hey Missy.
She's the one that gave me Hotel Nantucket to read. She and I were having like a heart-to-heart at work because I was having a mental breakdown in the office one day. I was literally crying to her. And the next morning, she's like, I've been thinking about you a lot. She's like, and I was listening to this podcast while getting ready this morning, and I wanted to send it to you. I think you might really like it. And it was a podcast I'd never listened to, but Jennifer L. Tates was the guest on the podcast, and she was promoting her new book, Stress Resets. And I loved the podcast. It like felt really life-changing. She's a clinical psychologist who helps people deal with stress and change it, like by changing their mindset on stress. Like if you view stress as something that is negative and harmful in your life, then it's going to negatively impact your life and your health. If you view stress as, good for you, which it is, and it's like a research backed book. She includes lots of like scientific studies and things. Then your outcomes are going to be better, and you're not going to let stress like rule your life. So anyways, I listened to that podcast. I loved it. Immediately wanted to get the book. It's not a book that I feel like you just sit and read through like we typically do. It's very much a in the podcast she describes it as like a recipe book for stress resets. So there's like 3 sections. There's mind resets, there's body resets, and then buffers. And it's literally like, imagine you're holding a recipe cookbook and you flip to what you want to make, and it'll like tell you what it's called. So whatever, for example, I think like the first or second mind reset is sing your thoughts, and it says when to do this, and then describes like whenever you're feeling this way, do this. It tells you how to do it, and then it tells you why you should do this and like how it works scientifically in your brain. So it's like a crisis book. Like when you're feeling super overwhelmed, you go to like a specific.
I've been very stressed lately.
It's like I described this to Colton. I don't mean this in like a blasphemous way at all. It's like a mental health Bible. Like I don't mean that in like a weird. It's like I mean that in the sense that you can open the book to any page and you're gonna find something to take away and calm you down in the moment. Like it's really cool the way it's written. And I really love like her practice and like her just beliefs about mental health and the way that she treats her patients, because
she really
is
into self-help books and stuff.
I never went through that phase. I honestly used to think self-help books were cringy, but changing my mindset, it sounds so silly. Change your mindset about stress and anxiety, and like that sounds dumb, but it's been life-changing. Like the past week, the way that I view stress has changed, and like my days have been better. I have been less stressed. Well, I'm not gonna say I've been less stressed, but because I see it differently,
it's not as like hard on you.
Right. Yeah, like she talks about how stress is related to like peak performance at work, and
that's how you're getting those high readiness scores, girl.
Literally. And like leadership qualities and all kinds of things. And it's just really cool because then in the moment you think about it, like if I'm stressed at work, that the event that is making me stressed is actually benefiting me in some way. Like it is furthering my career. Is
right.
Just looking at it differently is really life-changing. Like I think you should read it.
I probably should.
But like I said, it's not one you have to just
I'm
sit
thinking
and read
this
through.
would be something I would benefit from a lot, especially like what the way I'm struggling right now. Like I'm really just trying to refocus my life right now, and I feel like
you need to read this 100%.
It's been happening for it. Like I've been trying to do this for a few months. Like I've taken the steps to like get to that point, but like it still feels like things aren't slowing down. And I feel like I'm like, oh, I just need to get through this week. And I just feel like it's not ending.
Girl, this book would be so life-changing for you, I think.
Which I really don't want to like jinx myself, but I really feel like next week is like going to be my first week of just like I can focus on what I need to focus on in the moment, which is like my school, and I really need to focus on my internship that I'm in. Like I think I'm finally going to be able to do that and focus on like my flight training and stuff, and like and not like just to get rid of a bunch of stuff and add a bunch more to the plate, but just focus on the core things that I need to be focusing on anyways. And honestly, I feel like I'm doing a lot better. And like I've always been really good at school and stuff, but I felt like the last 2 years I've been just so stressed and anxious that like school has been such a chore for me and so hard for me. And I felt like the past like week I really like enjoyed my classes, and like I wasn't anxious. Like I used to get like anxious to even go into class because like I don't know these people that I'm in class with, or like, just like I don't know the answers to all this stuff. Like I've actually been like really like applying myself and like talking to people.
I love that you're mentioning this
Yeah.
because I have felt the same way this week while reading this book. One of the things that has really stood out to me so far, I haven't read a lot of it because like I said, you can just like read one page and you're going to take something away from it that can help you today in that moment. But that main thing for me is it's like essentially gaslighting yourself. Like if you tell yourself that you are excited for something. So like if something is causing me stress and anxiety and I'm worried about something happening, if I change that thought and say I am excited for this, and you tell yourself that you're excited, you're going to be excited. You're not going to be as stressed and worried about that because you are gaslighting your brain into being excited for it.
You know what's so funny is, sorry, I'm getting a bunch of notifications. I'm trying to turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. Outside of that, I like when I get into my test prep mode, this is funny because I've been telling people I'm gaslighting myself in my test prep mode. I've done that, like, and it does work, but it's crazy that that's like a thing because
and
like,
there's so much science and research backed, like it's scientific.
So for like there's like kind of two parts to how I like prepped myself and like gaslit myself for this test. So the first thing I do like to get myself to lock in and stuff was I was just like, okay, like I actually had a mental breakdown right before. Like I like was just looking at all this information and I just got so stressed. I just bawled my eyes out. I was like, I'm never gonna pass this test. It was the night before and I hadn't even like really been able to study. Like I had studied, but I was not absorbing anything and it was really frustrating. So I was just bawling my eyes out and I was like, failing is not an option. So I was like, I'm going to get in the shower. I'm going to wash this off. And when I get out of the shower, I'm locking in. I'm pulling an all-nighter. I said, I haven't drank an energy drink in forever. So I was like, I need to like be very careful with how I do this because I don't want to make myself worse. So I was like, I told myself, like I literally gaslight myself. I was like, anytime my eyes get a little tired, I will take a sip of this and I'll feel fine. Like I'll be awake. And I did. I really did. And the other thing is I was chugging ice cold water because it helps your brain not start producing melatonin. I flipped my light in my kitchen. You can like change the tone of the light. So I changed it to a cool white, like daylight. So I tricked my brain into thinking it was still daylight. Every hour I went in the bathroom and I put a cold rag on my face.
Wow. And this is like dedication.
I wasn't tired all night. And the next day I wasn't tired. I was tired after, but my adrenaline was just kicking up before my test. And so like then I was getting really anxious. I felt like the anxiety like in my like heart, like I was like my heart was hurting. I was so anxious. And I told myself right before I went in, I was like, you know the answer because you've seen it before. Like your eyes have seen that answer. So when you go take this test, you will look at the answer. You will just pick the right answer and move on. You know the answer. You've seen it before. You know you've seen it before. And then I'll just move on. And I will not second guess myself and I'll just move on. So that's what I did. I finished a 3-hour long test. In my first test, I did it in 30 minutes. And I passed it. I got an 82 or something. And then my second test, I actually thought I was going to lose all of my knowledge. Because, when you're... this is another thing. It's scientific based the way that we study for pilot study for tests and stuff, but we use like rote memory. So it's pretty much like short-term memory that you can just reach onto. So I was like, I'm going to lose all my rote memory in a week. So I actually just went ahead and booked my second test for that Thursday the next week. And I was like, I don't want to lose all this information, but I mentally cannot sit here and look through 1,000+ questions again. Like it was over 1,000 questions that I had to just memorize. And so when I was studying for my second test, I did 5 practice tests. And I said, if I get a 90 on any of these tests, I'll pass. Like, I just have to. My first test, I got a 73 on it. You have to have a 70 to pass. So I was like, that's not good enough for me. So I took another test. I marked the questions I got wrong and I studied those. And then I went back and took another test. And I got a 75 on my second test. And I'm like, this isn't good enough progress for me. Here's another thing I do. Like before bed, I'll just think about all the questions. I just have to think about it. Like I couldn't read. I couldn't do anything. No audiobooks. I listen to Beethoven. I know I've talked about this. In the
still
car,
makes me giggle.
I don't let anyone tell me anything. Like, you can't give me, my brain cannot hold any more information. I don't listen to music with words. I just have to be in my zone, okay? So I just, all day, just was thinking about it. I took my third practice test. I got an 88 on my third practice test. And then right before I went into my test, I went to Starbucks in Huntington, where my test was, which is like an hour away from where I live now. And I did a practice test. I got a 94. And I was like, I'm going to pass. I made myself park a mile away from the testing center, and I walked a mile. And I was like, I'm just going to walk and let all the stress go with me. And I was like, I will not be stressed. I went in there.
In this moment, you could have referred to a mind reset and a body reset in the book and done it on your mile-long walk.
That's crazy. Yeah. So I did that walk because I was like, I gaslit myself again. And I was like, when I'm walking, I was like, as soon as I walk in those doors, my stress will be gone. I know the right answer. I've seen the right answer. Failing's not an option. I'm not going to fail. I went in there. It's crazy because both times I took my test, they gave me the wrong book because you have like these questions and then it's like refer to figure whatever and you have to flip in the book. They gave me the wrong book both times, so I was annoyed because it kind of just messed up my groove when I got in there. But I went in there and the first question I opened up, I actually panicked a little bit and I was like, oh no, like what is this question? Like I haven't seen this. And then as soon as I like finished reading it, I was like, oh, I've seen this. I started smiling in the testing room and I was like, I've seen these questions. I know these questions. I'm going to pass. I finished that test in 20 minutes and I got an 88 on it. So like,
wow.
I only missed 6 questions out of 65.
You know that smiling is like a body reset. It's
look, I need this book because it's literally. I would love
gaslighting. Yeah. It's literally gaslighting yourself into thinking that you're happy.
I love gaslighting myself for stressing.
If you smile, it's telling your brain that you're happy. Like, and I just never realized, as somebody who's just so like mentally ill and anxious, I've just always thought that like I needed medication, and I still do. Like, I am not going to go off Prozac. But this book has opened my eyes to the fact that we have a lot more control of our emotions and our mental health than we think. I think that a lot of times it's easier to just revert to, this is just how I am. Like,
figured out.
This is just like the chemical imbalance in my brain. But like, it is, and it can be. Yeah. But also, I have control over my body, my thoughts, and how I feel.
There's a lot that you can do outside of medication, and some people still do need the medication.
And she talks about that in her book. She's like, she does prescribe medication to her clients, but she tries every avenue and all of these techniques
big thing that I try to do.
She prescribes medication.
And not just like mental health things, like even like headaches, period cramps, anything. Like I try to do everything I can before I like take medication for it. Yeah. Just for anything. And if I don't know, obviously like people just want to push medication nowadays. This is a big reason that I got off of melatonin. That could be a 2 hour
melatonin is so bad for you.
That could be a 2 hour long episode of me ranting when I found out melatonin, how bad it is for you. I was told to take it since I was 7 years old, and I just feel like it destroyed like a lot of my like sleeping stuff. And I feel like I'm an adult now, and I'm just now learning healthy sleep.
Yeah, up until recently, you've had a very unhealthy relationship with sleep.
I mean, I still don't have a great relationship with sleep. It's getting a lot better. And it's something we talk about a lot too. But just that little example, like these are all just things like I've just been trying to like lean into like learning about like more natural ways to deal with things.
You 100% need this book then. That's exactly what it is. Natural ways to deal with your emotions, accept your emotions, and embrace them. So that they can make a positive impact in your life.
I really like that. Those are like the gaslighting thing that I like.
She doesn't say that in the book. I don't think she uses the term gaslighting, but to me, I'm like, you're dancing around the word gaslighting.
That's what you're doing. Like, but it's not always like bad. Like you have to.
Gaslighting can be good in this case.
You need to be able to like trick yourself into thinking like this is good for me, and it is, because then it's not taking it shouldn't take up that mental space in your mind. Like it shouldn't take that kind of toll on you, right?
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. I know that this is true for you, but it's also true for me. Stress physically manifests in my body. I feel so physically ill. Yeah. it's like how I feel. Like you can't see it. Like I know you get like the stress.
I chew on my lips when I get
Mhm.
stressed. I chew on the inside of my mouth already when I'm like anxious, but when I'm stressed, I will bite my mouth, like my lips, so hard, like I will pull skin and I will get blisters from like biting my lips so bad.
Yeah. So like I don't
irritating
get
myself.
like visible
And
things like
acne.
that.
I don't ever
Oh,
get
I do get acne.
but
Yeah.
when I am stressed, like I will start getting acne and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you need to read that. I bought it on my Kindle, so I'm going to continue.
This is a good conversation out of a book that was very obscure.
Right? Right? Yeah, so that's continuing on my February TBR. I probably won't finish it this month. I'm just going to read little by little throughout the year, and honestly, probably just throughout my life. It's like a good book to just reference.
Right.
So that's the last one besides the book that we decided to do for our fable.
Yes, I'm excited to talk about this. Wait. I had to bring up I didn't even talk about this. I left out one book that I wanted to read.
Continue.
That I wanted to say. And I just thought it was funny because when you hear about the book that we picked, it was one of the things we watched spoiler-free reviews for the book that we picked just now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the comments like she made and I was like, this is funny because like I think it'll go hand in hand a little bit. So I think this is a well-known book and I love Harry Potter. I don't think you're a Harry Potter fan. I love Harry Potter. I think this is a well-known like book in the Harry Potter community, but like I've never been able to find it or get my hands on it. I always just thought it was like a Wattpad book. So this is confused. A fan fiction. It's called Manacled.
I've heard of this.
And to my knowledge, it's like a smutty version. But listen. I've always been a dark romance girly. Even when I was younger, Draco Malfoy was the love of my life in Harry Potter, and he's a villain.
So
he's a bad guy.
The fanfic is Draco Malfoy.
So it's him and Hermione.
Shut up.
To my knowledge, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain. So I'm pretty sure it's just like a dark romance retelling, like with Draco and Hermione.
That is so unhinged. You know, I've heard of Manacled, and I had no idea what it was.
Everyone loves it. I found it on this website, and I had to download like a e-reader. I think it's like a British website too. Like I had to download like the e-reader version and send it to my Kindle. And so
that's what we're gonna have to do for Resan's POV.
I know we're gonna have to find that.
You download it onto your Kindle from the internet.
That would be a lot better for us anyway. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So I kind of just found this little version of that. So I'm so excited to read that.
That's so
like
funny.
I'm like very excited to read that. But it's very funny because it kind of goes with the book that we picked.
Oh, it does.
She said it was like a dark Harry Potter theme. So
okay.
So I was just laughing at that, and I wanted to share that I was reading Manacled, which I just think is funny because it's like I'm anticipating it to be like a fanfic Wattpad read, but like it should be like an easy read. But people like god tier that book. I'm like, okay. You're gonna have to announce this book because I don't even know how to say it.
Okay, so Emma's gonna be in her dark academia era this month, okay? Because the book that we chose is Nocticadia by Carrie Lake.
Mm-hmm. I think we mentioned it in the last episode.
We did, because I said that it was on my TBR for the year. And I had said in the last episode that I couldn't decide if I wanted to read it now or save it for the fall because everyone says it's like great, spooky season read. But we have decided to do it for February. So
yeah, as soon as we went through a few books before we landed on this one, and as soon as we started like looking at it, I was like, yeah, we're reading this book. Yeah, it's very everything that we have talked about in the pod. Like it's gonna be dark romance, obviously, like smut. There's gonna be
I don't think it's a fantasy book, but it has like fantasy elements.
It seems like there's a little bit of
spooky.
If not like fantasy, just like a little bit of I don't even know how to say it, like imaginative like themes and stuff. So yeah,
I think it's described as a dark academia novel. Like I think that's what the genre is, but I think it encompasses like a lot of what we talk about on the podcast.
And a little spooky to add to your February reads.
Yes, I'm so excited. Like the the blurb or the description of the book is so detailed. Like,
oh my gosh, Lexi was reading it and we were like, what? Like,
and you were like, wow, there's so many good tropes in this book.
I know. I said this book is like every trope like you could think of. I feel like there's so many in it.
Yeah, so the romance is with her professor.
Yeah. So there's that. There's the like dark academia. There's the little bit of fantasy.
Also, somebody said he's immorally black.
Oh, immorally black, yes.
So, you know, a lot of people talk about a morally gray male main character. No, he's morally black. That sold me.
They said there's the touch her and you die like trope, and then there's him, and he's like, this is kind of the haunting Adeline theme. Like, I will hunt you down, send you body parts. Like, that's what she said on her video. So,
and I was like, sold.
Yeah.
You can send me some body parts in the mail.
That TikTok that's going around and he was like stalking her, and she's like, oh my gosh, and he was like, and then he sent her like this body part, and she was like, oh my gosh, and then they fell in love, and he was like, no, he went to jail, he's crazy. I'm like, that's us.
We're like, oh, they don't fall in love. What?
If you guys don't know that audio, I sounded really weird just now, but
I actually don't know that audio either, but I can picture it the way
I'll show it to you. But yes, that's what we're reading for our fable. So join our fable. It's in the description.
Yes, if you are interested in joining the Lace with Literature book club and reading Nocticadia in February, click the link.
Yes.
And make sure, I mean, don't ruin your reading experience, but as you can, update in each chapter.
Right.
Your thoughts and feelings. The more comments we can get from you guys on there, the better.
We will read them in our pod, so that's going to be really fun to
in the podcast
include
episode.
You guys a lot more too, so.
Yeah, and it'll feel like we can actually like talk with you guys and like form friendships with listeners, and then share your thoughts on the podcast.
Yeah, we're super excited about this. Yeah, so just make sure you guys are updating. We're going to talk about it in the pod. We're very excited about it. Mm-hmm. And also, if this book isn't your vibe, we're not always going to do like dark romance.
We'll switch it up.
I think we've already talked about a few other books we're going to do that aren't even like fully romance. Like, we'll do some more like found family trope, we'll do some like friendship tropes.
Like a book that's been on my radar that I don't know if we're gonna do it with our personal book club or, you know, the podcast book club, but the book club Hotel.
Yeah, we were talking about that one too.
I have been wanting to read that book so bad. It's not a romance, but it's a book about friendship, and we talked about this in our last episode, like friendship tropes.
Yeah,
like it just hits me
funny
so hard.
The other book that I was wanting to do was The Wedding People, and I that's not a romance, that's a friendship, like found family trope too. And I also said we can probably do that in May, because actually I'm having a wedding in May. So
so for Emma's wedding month, I think we should do that for May. Love that we have May picked out already. It's literally February.
But I'm just excited about it and already planning out everything in May. So yeah, you'll see more of us, and if you have any ideas for books you want to read in the fable, let us know. We can put them
comment them.
We can put them in our polls and stuff. So this is the end of our 2-part episode.
I feel like I've never talked so much in my life. I hope you guys really enjoyed the 2-part episode. We kind of just wanted to make up for not posting last Sunday. But this was
clearly we've been through it last week. So. Yeah,
it was a good little yap sesh.
Definitely, yeah. And we're gonna need to be like silent for the next hour. So anyway,
all right. Thanks for tuning in again, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.